Hello, it's Jim Childers again, and I'm here with episode 5 in our series of videos that are intended to help you use listening examples to teach your band students. Instead of saying some of the same things I say at the beginning of every video, I just want to quickly say if you need more information about how to be more efficient in doing this, please refer back to some of the previous episodes, especially episodes 1 and 2. In today's video, I wanted to talk about how you can use my resource book to create lessons and materials for your remote students. Now, in case you're new to these videos and you're asking yourself, what in the world is he talking about, resource book? I'll just quickly mention that the name of the book is Listening Excerpts to Develop Band Musicianship. It's available from GIA Publications, and it has many listening excerpts within it that are organized by categories, by concepts that you would deal with your band students. And as usual, I'll put the QR code right here so that you can view the table of contents to see all that is in there. I would like to mention that I think this resource will be valuable for you because I have taken a ton of time to put together all of these different listening excerpts so that you don't have to go digging through CDs and albums trying to find some things on your own. I think it'll also help you to come up with some ideas. For example, you could do a basic lesson where you wanted to present them with excerpts that would help them develop their concept of tone. You could even do things that deal with articulation if you want to develop that type of conceptualization. As you look through the table of contents, you might spot some things and think to yourself, hey, I think I'm going to have a quick lesson for them on nationalism, or maybe I'm going to do one on mixed meter. You might be looking through there and you're like, oh, hey, you know what? I could do one just to expose them to different examples of trills and tremolos, just to help them to understand better how they can shape those gestures in their music. So let's talk about what some of these lessons might look like. As we were just mentioning, a very simple way to do it could be to just assign your students 2 or 3 listening examples to track down and listen to. I would recommend that you encourage them to get Spotify, the free version of Spotify. They can upload that onto their phone or whatever device it is. It's free, so no excuses. And then they can search and find most of the examples from these tables. And let's say, for example, you wanted them to listen for tone. And from the tables, you could pull together 2 or 3 examples, have them track them down. You might even take it a step further and have them listen and compare different variations on the tone color. And what I mean there, you could have, say, trumpet students listen to the opening of Festive Overture, Shostakovich, which iconic. I would definitely say that that's very marked. Might even say that it has brightness to it. It's very sparkling. And they might compare that to a different trumpet example. For example, there's First Symphony for Band by William Bolcom, the second movement. At timestamp 117, there's an awesome trumpet feature there. It's very lyrical, and it's very dark and mysterious. And this trumpet player has to at times play extremely high, but the performance is just impeccable. It's just so pure, so centered. The control is outstanding. So you could have them compare and contrast that way. Now, I know what you're thinking. The students, if I don't make them report back in some way or generate something to send back to me, I don't think they're really going to do it. So let's talk about adding some rigor to your lessons. Have you sat in a teacher's meeting and had the word rigor mentioned to you? Yeah, I thought maybe you had. I find that word kind of amusing. But if you are trying to set up lessons that has increased rigor, or at least there is proof of effort on the part of your students, something that I would recommend that might be useful to you is to set up a worksheet. You can do this in Google Forms. The nice thing about using Google Forms is that it can auto-check, and then you're not sitting down with a red marker and going like that on a piece of paper excessively. And an example of some questions that you might put on that worksheet, you could ask things that are related to timestamps. So as they're listening, you have a question, say, at minute 105, which instrument or family of instruments is presenting the melody? And then you'll have some multiple choice there, and they can just check which one is the correct one. You could also ask a question such as, you might ask, at minute 238, what is the tempo? And I know you're thinking, well, my students don't necessarily understand what does the word allegro mean, what does the word andante mean, but you could have one of the choices be allegro, and then next to it in parentheses you could have quick and lively. And not only are you getting them to listen to high quality music and absorb those types of things, but then you're also working terminology, so that's cool. Another example of a question you might ask is, you could say at minute 3:15, what is the mood level of the music? And then you could, for each multiple choice item, you could have 2 or 3 adjectives, and they could process of elimination. They could get rid of the obviously wrong ones and narrow in on what you wanted them to pick. And by giving them 2 or 3 adjectives, that would allow for some subjectivity in that discussion. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, I don't know if doing this type of a lesson really gets at anything that I really care about within my performance organization. And I feel you can go after other goals. Say if your goal was, I want my students to get better at playing lush, dark, lyrical type of music. And so if you choose a listening example that comes from that list, then the questions, even though they may be dealing with other things like which instrument is presenting the melody here, what is the tempo there, they are hearing great bands play very expressive music, and they're internalizing that. And then in the future, whenever you are in a rehearsal with your students in front of you again, say you pull that same listening example up to put in front of them once again, then they're going to make connections, and you can give technical advice to what they might be doing wrong. So for that reason, these very simple worksheets, and of course using timestamp related questions to make sure they are actually listening to them and giving something you back, so then you have grades to put in the grade book, which makes your administrators happy. It's also developing their conceptualization and laying a groundwork for you to pull from in the future when you're back in rehearsals again. So these have been just a couple of very simple ideas of what you can do with this resource in creating lessons, listening-based lessons for your remote band students. You may have some other wonderful ideas. More power to you. I just hope that this resource helps you quite a bit in that you don't have to go digging for recordings to use, and hopefully it'll help you to generate some ideas of what concepts and teaching ideas you can put out there in front of your kids. Hopefully very soon we're all going to be back to normal with our kids right in front of us. Until then, please stay safe, and I hope to see you in some of the future episodes. Bye.